Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started again, if everybody could be seated. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with the theory examinations. All of the information in the theory test has been referenced with the Salon Fundamentals 2011 and the Milady 2012 versions of the textbooks. These new referenced questions and information will go into effect starting January 1st of 2013. So any changes that are made to the questions will go into effect in January. During our time in December, where we have very little testing, and we actually have about a week and a half where we have no testing, Mr. Tracus will go back in and do the audio. He will record the audio for each question that has been revised or any new questions that have been developed. Also, with the manager's examination, for any of you who have a manager's program, the Salon Fundamentals, same reference, 2011, the Milady 2012, and then the Ohio Administrative Code and the Ohio Revised Code. All of the theory examinations consist of 110 multiple choice questions. 10 of those are pilot, and meaning that they are in the evaluation stage and they are not included in scoring. So the students do not know which questions are pilot questions while they are testing, but at the end of the test on their score report, when all the categories are listed and it shows how many they have done correctly in each section, there will be a pilot category, and that pilot section is the section that did not count, so there is no score associated with a pilot question. It just gives us a way of evaluating a question to put into circulation before it is actually counting on the student's test. So right now we have been in the process of evaluating all of the questions throughout all of the exams that we give, and we can see how each and every question is performing. So if we have a question that is, being answered incorrectly, 95% of the time, come January, that question will no longer be in the pool of questions, and there would be a new question from the pilot questions of that category to take its place, because we will already know how that pilot question has performed. The same way with if a question, is answered correctly 100% of the time, we're trying to make it a well-rounded exam, so we have evaluated every question and re-referenced in the newer textbooks. All candidates do receive 90 minutes to complete their examination unless they have special accommodations or requested. And then for the manager's examination, that test still consists of 50 questions, and they receive 60 minutes. As far as candidate assistance, students that are on an IEP or other type of education plan can have the following accommodations. Extended time. They across the board, it would be an additional 30 minutes, and that would be for a manager's exam or for any theory examination. The test is automated via computer. So each and every question has been audio taped by Mr. Tracus, and that is the question. That's how they hear it with the headsets. It does not sound automated. It sounds like he is actually just reading the question. The headsets are provided for those candidates that require reading assistance. They're able to replay any question that they need to as many times as they would like. And it seems to have been working out pretty well for most students. We haven't had many issues with that. The theory test statistics. What we have listed up here is the breakdown for each category. Principles of infection. As far as the theory questions for this area, it is at a 78% pass. This is a pass rate for that particular section. Not for the entire test. This is just broken out for a particular section, okay? Chemical procedures and practices is 78%. No, this is career tech. Okay. Hair care procedures and practices is 81%. Trichology is 76%. Electricity and chemistry, 67%. Anatomy, 69%. Nail care, 79%. Skin care, 70%. And the pilot question category, 77%. So as you can see, the lower statistics are in anatomy, electricity and chemistry, and then skin care. Yes. This will be on the PowerPoint, yes. Kathy.
Can you please email this to all the cosmetology teachers?
This will be available on our website.
Okay.
What? As soon as we receive, probably within a week and a half, I guess. Maybe 2 weeks, depending on when we get the video, the taping back from here. They send it back to us, and our IT person will place it on our website. Before Christmas.
On the front of your testing information packet, where it's showing principles of infection, question 25, is that the number of questions?
That's the number of questions.
I've added this up 3 times, and I'm coming up with 84 questions.
Let me look at it.
I'm wondering where the rest of the questions are.
I'm not sure. Could be a mistake. I was going to say, is there a second page? Well, there's the rest of the questions. That's okay, no problem.
Hi. I just wanted to clarify
Yes.
that you said that you re-referenced with the newer textbooks. So in the old TIP packet, it had several different textbook editions.
Mhm.
It's only now from 2011 and 2012.
Right, it's just what is referenced in the new TIP that we gave you at the table.
Only that.
That's correct. Yes. I'm sorry?
Thanks. I just had one quick point on this I thought was kind of relevant. We get phone calls from students, not from instructors, but from students, and they say, well, I got a 74. Isn't that good enough? And the answer is no. 74 isn't a 75, right? So, please impress upon them. This is a minimum competency test. And if you can't even get 1 out of 4 right, or 3 out of 4 right, you're not going to get your license. So, this is minimum competency. And these are disturbing questions from people who are adults, not just students, but I mean adults who come and they say, well, I was pretty close, I got a 70. It's not 75. Thank you.
Okay. Also, I just want to reiterate that none of the change of questions will take place until the 1st of January, and it does not change the categories. So the categories remain the same. All that are listed, the principles of infection, the chemical, the hair care, all these categories stay the same. And it's just if a question is not performing well, or if a question could not be referenced in the newer editions of the textbooks in both the Milady and in the Salon Fundamental, then that question was rewritten. So it does not change any of the categories or really the content of the test. It's just, making sure that the questions stay relevant, and that questions, now that we've had an entire year of this new exam, so that any questions that did not perform very well were actually taken back out of the test and replaced.
So that means in January, of 2013, when we come down in May and June, we will have new questions on the test.
Some questions will be new. Most of the questions will remain the same.
Yeah.
But if anything, like I said, cannot be referenced in the newer versions, or if there was a question that performed poorly, then that question would have been replaced.
Okay, and the new questions are coming from your pilot questions?
Yes, many of the new questions come from the pilot questions. And then if there was not a sufficient pilot question to replace something in a specific category, then there was a new question developed.
So it sounds like very few will be, I'm concerned because my students are still in the My Lady Brown book. My seniors are, I'm a 3-year program. Do I need to go out and buy new textbooks? Because is it going to change that much that I need to worry about new textbooks? Right, but there are some new terminology in there. I do know there's new terminology in there. And that's my concern, is do I need to worry about the new terminology, or am I pretty safe? I know you can't say I'm 100% safe, but pretty safe to stay with the old textbook. And not worry about buying new ones.
When the examiners and the group went through and reevaluated and looked up the answers in the newer versions, there was not it was not an overabundance of questions that were affected. There were a few. I would suggest that you maybe get the newer version for your reference guide, so that you can reference, not that you necessarily have to get it for all your students, but at least that you could reference, to see where the changes are would be my suggestion.
I was looking at the tip packet, and under nail care, I don't see artificial nails, but I would think that it's on there. I think it always has been.
I believe it. Can I see that? What? I believe it says nail enhancements, possibly, without looking at it.
Is it under under chemical? Okay. Okay.
There's one over there in the box.
And then the systems are still broken out into, like, when it says systems, there could be questions about bones or muscles, not just the system itself. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay.
In anatomy is what you're saying? Yes.
And mine was just a statement for the educator that was concerned about the adjustments in books, because mine are the same way. But if you get online, that 2012 book, it tells you what was changed from the 2008 to the and it's not that extreme. It's not that extreme, but I would suggest, like, really make sure that the kids go over, like, the anatomy and physiology, because the last book that I saw the difference in is it didn't do lower extremities or something in the book, but they do have to do it, so now we teach it all. But it was small adjustments. So get online and look at it, and it'll tell you what they changed in each of those books, and then just beef yourself up in those areas till you can change a book, because my school can't make that quick adjustment either.
This new tip packet that you gave us at the desk
Yes.
out there, is this the most current one on the website right now?
It is actually not on the website. It will be on the website this week.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions regarding the theory? Yeah, down here, Kat.
How big is the test bank, and are they still entry-level questions?
Yes, they are still entry-level questions, or, it depends on each category. So categories that have, like trichology has 10 questions, there's probably about 70 questions in that bank. The ones that have the principles of infection, there would be a couple hundred questions in that bank. So it really depends on the size of the category, how many questions are in the bank. And then it's random. It's still random, but specific questions in that, category. I actually haven't added it since we've added new questions, so I would say probably about 500 and some, maybe 600. Once a year we do our evaluation, which is what we're in the middle of. One time a year. Mm-hmm. And another suggestion that was given was if any of you use, like if you're using the My Lady textbook, to have the salon fundamentals for your reference, or vice versa, so that, because we do reference the questions out of both books. We do not have questions that you can only find in one book, but just for reference, because there's differences with the way they're worded a lot of times. Yes.
if you call Cengage Learning, they will send you a free desk copy.
Oh, very good
My
suggestion.
days.
Good suggestion.
Years ago, the NIC sold study guides. Do you support any company, or do you have a study guide that?
No, we just have our
Students
tips, just the tips that are on the website.
Okay.
Over here, Kathy.
We're seeing more students lower functioning and on the IEPs coming into our programs. And it seems like from the next test to this new one, they're having a more difficult time with the theory passage rate. My school and a few of the other schools. Do you have any suggestions?
My suggestion would be to go over the theory, the principles that we have listed in the TIP, and look at the areas where they are scoring lower, like we said, anatomy, chemistry, and electricity, and skincare are some of the lowest scoring areas. NIC had a very basic examination that was good, across all the states. We did take NIC and try to customize it as much as we could to Ohio, as many of you know, but we could not do as much as we wanted until we created our new examination, which we feel is a much more comprehensive exam, and that it does touch in all of the areas that students receiving a licensure should have knowledge of. So this exam does have a heavier emphasis on the anatomy questions and on the chemistry and electricity and the definitions, and having a good theory base to understand the theory, meaning, helps them to apply their practical out in the field. So like I said, my suggestion would be to be vigilant in going through the tips and make sure that, the definitions are really understood. They understand the differences with the infection control procedures, and that they're really understanding the definitions. One of the things that we see with IEP students is the lack of understanding with the definitions. And we do understand that, and the lower level for reading, but at the same time, they do have to be able to understand manufacturer's directions and things of that nature with the chemicals when they're out working. Yes. Right beside of her, Kathy.
Okay, but with a student with a 0 point something grade point average, and we're forced to take these students in there, that's, I think, where we're struggling with.
Well,
I mean, nobody's saying that they have to have a certain grade point average, and we're getting such low functioning that they're not making it. Well, they're not. What's happening is some of them are just failing out, but
right.
If they do make it that far, they're coming down 2 times and they can't pass it.
Right. And unfortunately, not everybody is going to pass the test. And if there is a student that is that low functioning, with the help of, of instruction and all the tutelage that's happening in school, and they can't come and pass after 3 times, that student just may not be able to pass that test. And we definitely did not gauge the test to try to hinder people from entering into the cosmetology industry, but it does have to be at a level, the bar needs to be set at a level to where we're having quality people enter the industry.
Doing a good job making sure that these kids can go out and perform in the business world. Just because they want to be in cosmetology doesn't mean that they're going to make it as a cosmetologist. And so here we are, fighting with the Board of Education, that I think is really where the problem lies, is that they keep adding all these things that our students aren't interested in. They're not interested in more science, they're not interested in more math, but that's what they're getting, and we're forced to the state compliances of OGTs and every other, so we're jumping through all these hoops, and they're not getting it where they want to be. So I think the problem really is with the Board of Education.
I had a comment and a question. The comment is for the people that are still using the My Lady Brown book. Make sure your students know what the definition of MRSA is, as it is not in that book, so they will need to know exactly what MRSA stands for, which leads me to my second question.
when our state board inspector came in this year, she talked to the students a lot about something new called Versa. And that is not referenced in our books, and will that be on the test?
That is not on the exam.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question. Did we clarify, I know that in the past, artificial nails was on the written exam. Did we clarify whether it is or not?
Yeah, there is a couple questions on that, and it looks like nail enhancement was left off the list, so I will be adding that back on to the list. I'm sorry? Chemical procedures. Oh yeah, there it is. It is on the list. Okay. Yes, front page. Thank you.
Would you say that the test is geared, the theory part, test geared more towards Milady or salon fundamentals or equal?
It's equal. If a question there is not a question on our test that cannot be referenced out of both books. So if it cannot be referenced out of both books, that is not a question on the exam.
Would you agree that the salon fundamentals is probably a higher reading level than
Yes.
the Milady?
Or no, what? Say that one more time. No, the Milady, I would agree, is a higher reading level than the salon fundamentals. Milady is yes.
This is kind of going back to the caliber of students that are in our program. I can remember maybe a couple months ago, you were able to go on the site and see each school's pass-fail rate for student exam. Is that still available?
Actually, that is not available. We had several issues with having it posted on our website. To start off with, we had issues getting it posted on our website. The files are very large, and our IT person has some issues with the way that gets loaded. But that's a side point. What we have decided to do, so you should have received an email, or at least your supervisor or administration should have received an email, that all test results will be emailed to the school monthly. So your contact person, so for Career Tech, again, is Marcy Cunningham over here, which will have her email up on the board shortly. She would be sending out a report after each month for any students that have tested. So obviously, most of your students have not come to test yet since we started this new procedure. So when your students start to come and test, if you have students that come to test, say in March, then at the first part of April, Marcy will be sending a report that will show the pass-fail rate. Yes.
Okay, and then part two of that, since this is our high stakes test, when you rank schools, are we ranked on passage or that 100% of your students have taken the exam?
We do not rank schools. The Ohio Department of Education may rank schools, but we do not rank schools.
Okay,
we just supply a pass-fail rate that shows how many students you had come to test, how many of those students passed or failed.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Question. Are you going to have one version of the test, or are you going to have different versions of the same test?
Our test is random, so every test is a different version because the questions come in randomly, so there's not a test that's exactly the same.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to make a statement. On all of it, they're going to start ranking us on both. How many students that we're sending, and you want 100% of your test rate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do not fail to do that, teachers. And then the portion that we can't get past, they just can't. But I keep on hearing everybody say this, and we get real negative sometimes, and I can't stand that. Be encouraged, teachers. Like, don't start getting all negative about it. Do whatever it takes. I go back to simple basics. I use a word wall, which is the same thing they use for fourth graders. Use a word wall, do definitions, take it straight back to the basics, because we're going to have to literally go from cookie cutter up to start to finish. Get them so familiar with these words that they could see it in the dark. Because truthfully, I know what you guys are all facing. We all have it. We got kids in our classroom with 5th grade reading levels, and how do we have them? Now Ohio is asking us, our Lextile levels need to be where they're supposed to be. Don't get discouraged. Go talk to a 4th grade or 3rd grade teacher. Find out what they're doing for getting these kids to understand definitions and use that basics, because that's what I use. I got a word wall up in my room. I use definitions. Like, just be encouraged. We need to send smarter people in the industry, but we also need to get them tested. So whatever it takes, that's how I feel about it in my classroom, and that's whatever it takes.
Marcy, this might be a question for you. I'm right here. For the reports that we will get for the test this year, are there tests available for the last year, for the students who went last spring?
Yes.
Yes, results.
There will be, you have to request those from me because I haven't started sending them.
Email
I only
you.
did it for the adult program so far. Since you didn't have any coming, then if you want to request those, email me. I'll
So again, anybody that would want their testing results from last year when you had students come in, email Marcy and she will get those requests taken care of.
I have a question. This is like a common thing that we have coming forth a lot of, and some of my most outstanding students are students that have no social security number. And it seems to be growing every year. So when I enroll my students, the area where it says social security is left blank.
Right.
And I know that they have an opportunity within the 2-year period that they're in the program to provide a social security number. And I have actually this year 2 seniors that do not still have a social security number or can't provide any kind of bill with their name on
Right.
it and so forth, you know, whatever the requirements. So I'm wondering, is there anything that the board can do? Because we're facing this problem. I don't have a choice who I accept in my program, but it's like I'm dinged if I do or dinged if I
Right.
don't.
Actually, I have a whole section on just that we're going to be going over shortly. So I will get to your question. When we get to that, I'll answer all of your questions because it's a pretty lengthy explanation for that.
I just have a comment what the lady was saying about our students that's coming in and about the chart walls and all that. My suggestion is if we could have some kind of meeting or organization that some of us teachers could get together and kind of share some of our strategies that we're doing, especially the teachers that have a 100% or the teachers that's having a difficult time, so that we could share some of the knowledge, because we have a whole lot of knowledge in here. And if we could share some of our knowledge together as a team, you know, as a workshop, and reiterate some of the things that we can do to help our students. That's just a suggestion.
Okay. We do have the OCCTA and Cat Marriott down here, and they do have that organization. And you can stand up and speak if you choose. Bring her. Take the mic.
In the spring and fall of every year. They're on the first Saturdays of May and the first Saturdays of October. We're going to do a summer workshop. It's going to be over curriculum, day 1 for instructors' hours, and it's going to be over the over business practices and other things on day 2. So we do come to the OCC. If you come to the OCCTA meeting, we do talk and share about stuff. The other thing is the ODE was there and got to speak a little bit about the new student grade card. So, or the grading system. Is this question directed at me, Rita? Yes. We were guinea pigs for state board. We were guinea pigs for state board. State board hosted that for us one time. The teachers did. And I was a nervous wreck, and trust me, that glove hand with oil feels like a pig. It's like it is a nightmare. The glove, the oil in the glove, is not a good thing. And it's somebody like dropped theirs, and the bird seed went everywhere. It was a nightmare. Linda Spittle and I were partners. It was like, oh, for the love of God, just get me out of here. I was nervous too. I was really nervous. So we did. So if you're ever encouraged to do that, if state board decides to do that again, I would encourage that. But the first day is over curriculum and how we're going to look at that again. We're under a 5-year review, and to redo that, we all need to look at that. We did a great job a couple years ago, about 6 years ago, of getting this curriculum set, but we didn't share it with each other. So this time I'm really encouraging y'all to come to the OCCATA meetings. I'm sending out emails, sharing stuff. Could the officers in charge or help me stand up? Dahlia Kiefer's one of them. So if you have any other questions, don't just ask me. Miss Patty White. Who else is here? Miss Linda Spittle. Miss Liz Leinard. And Marianne Parrish Karen Beam is not here today. So please ask any of those officers to email me or ask them for questions, because we do share. I keep sending out all kinds of emails about all kinds of changes. All right? Yeah. Is this directed at me again? Yeah, so, and for the strategies, I mean, that's what the summer workshop we're gonna focus on, because we're only hosting that every other year now, too. So it's real important to just go and share that information and the strategies, and we're gonna go over curriculum and strategies and share even within your districts. When I first joined, we met district-wide and then we met statewide. So,
Do you have a website? Because I think what they're asking for is just maybe a best practices for educators. So if you had like the OCCT's best practices for teaching anatomy and physiology, best practices for practical exams. So I think they're just asking for that best practice.
it's occta.org, www.occta.org. We're not allowed to have Facebook. It's not. And then the summer workshop schedule is, okay, it's confirmed that it's going to be at I just got this email from Karen, and she has scheduled it, but it does not have the dates on here. It's the same day, it's the same time as skills, something in skills. Nationals and skills. It is, we don't have a cost, Liz doesn't have a cost yet. Sorry.
That's all right.
So but you could, we'll keep you posted. Karen, or Miss Patty, do you have those dates? It's the last week of June, and it's in the middle of the week. I'll look on my calendar and get back with you. And it's going to be at Miami Valley Career Technical Center near Dayton, Ohio, or in Dayton. It's in Clayton, Ohio. Is Clayton and Dayton the same thing, or near each other? It's a little northwest of Dayton. And we'll have that available to you as soon as we get the schedule. More questions for me? Oh, June 25th and 26th. Thank you. Thanks. ODE will be there too, presenting and they'll have a lot of information. So I do suggest you ladies go, and gentlemen. Sorry, Lenny.
Okay, Kat, this isn't for you really, but it probably concerns a lot of us. At our school, we've got an issue with our supervisor pushing to get CBI students as a rotation in our labs. And to me, we're a licensure program. Yeah, we need the kids, we need the enrollment, but where does that, to me, that lowers our standards.
That is actually something that has been brought to our attention from several different schools over the past month, and it is something that is going to be brought to the board for a decision to be made on. So I would suggest that if you have any feelings about that one way or the other, or if you could send any representatives to the next board meeting. I believe, Mr. Tracus, are we going to discuss that at the next meeting? Yes. for the November meeting, which will also be the quarterly school meeting. So if you come to the quarterly school meeting prior to the board meeting, we could get some of that information and get your feelings out so that we would have a better understanding of your side of having these students in your classroom. And then, like I said, the board will be discussing just that because we've had several schools call about having the students in, sometimes for quite a long period of time, as from what we've gathered. The quarterly school meeting is November 2nd, second Tuesday of November.
Okay, I just want to make this real clear. I belong to the OT, I belong to all of that, and I went to Vegas, and we went to Chicago, and been doing it for the last 12 years. My point is that's good because it's a big crowd and you have it, but we have this little thing here in Ohio. That's what I'm trying to say, that if some of us as teachers could get together and share when it's smaller and share our strategies, because I learned a lot there. Believe me, I love them. We go every year. But what I'm trying to say is that with everybody can't afford to come down to Columbus or wherever, but in your small community or your small schools or whatever you need to do, if we could set our strategies together to help each other and share with each other, I think, because I have a lot of IEP students, so I learned from someone else who had an IEP student. She told me what she did, and we sat down as a team and we worked together. Oh, that's what you did? So let me try this. I think if we could get that kind of base going on, that we could share our ideas and really reiterate those ideas and do them. I think this is a personal opinion that my passing rate will be better, because my passing rate was better because I got with some teachers. I got with some teachers that had 100%, and I asked them questions. I went with those teachers. I wanted to know what they did to make sure that their kids passed so my students could pass. It worked for me last year, but it was a lot of work, but I didn't have to go out to another state to get it. I was right here in Ohio and got it. So that's my whole point I'm trying to make as teachers, that we could work together and share, have little workshops and share that information, because by the time June comes, most of the kids have taken a test.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not knocking it because I've been to the meetings, but I'm just saying by the time June comes, those kids already have taken a test, so now we're working on the new students that's coming in. So that's my statement about that.
And, absolutely, anybody that wants to get together and work together in groups to, that's fine. It would not be board sponsored. Obviously, this is what we do, but working together, I think, is probably going to be the best way for you to share your ideas, as the instructor over here was stating. Any other questions before we move over here? Sure.
I noticed on the retouch relaxer, there's no outline the quadrant.
On a retouch relaxer,
Right, no outline the quadrant?
there's no outline on there. We don't grade on that anymore.
Okay.
Are there any other questions before we move on to some other exam room policies? Oh, yes, sorry.
I did have one quick one. Our examiner mentioned to my students that they wanted to know if they could have the test read to them if they did not have an IEP. Could they wear the headphones? And she said she thought they could.
Yes.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm. It does have to be requested at the very beginning. They cannot have any additional time. But if somebody does come up at the very beginning, when I say very beginning, I mean when they're doing the check-in procedure in the morning, if they indicate to the examiner that they need headphones, they are able to receive those. But like I said, they would not be able to receive any additional time or anything. The quarterly school meeting will be November 13th, Tuesday, November 13th at 9:30 a.m. prior to the board meeting at 1. Yes.
Okay, so you said anybody could request that. Do we need to request that on the pre-schedule or just when we get there?
It is something that for IEP students, obviously you will have to have the ADA form completed. It is not something that every student can have because we do not have headphones for, it's just not something every student can have. But occasionally there will be a student that will ask if they can have the headphones, and we tell them, we will allow them to do that without any additional time. That is something that you would not request in advance. That is something that would be done when they're physically there during the check-in. You're welcome. Yes?
What if the student brings their own earbuds?
No, they have to use what we have issued at the board. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Lee.
All right, I'm going to go over the exam room policies. Our first one is absolutely no talking. Candidates can refer all their questions to one of the examiners, but they should not ask their neighbor any type of questions. The first time that they are caught talking, they will have a first-time warning. That warning is they will lose all points in whatever procedure that they are in. Also, they will be signing a misconduct form that will follow them through each and every room, and also the computer lab. So the second time that they are caught talking, they will be excused for 90 days. That means they cannot even reschedule until after the 90th day. Okay? No borrowing of any supplies. All candidates should come to the exam prepared with everything that they need. If they are caught borrowing supplies from each other, they will be excused for 90 days. Cell phone use and texting. There's absolutely no cell phone use, calling anyone, texting anyone in the exam rooms, computer room, or in the restroom when they are testing. They may use a cell phone or text out in the lobby, but not in the exam room. Caught doing so, they will be excused for 90 days for this procedure. Written materials. Candidates should not have any study guides, their TIPs, or any type of textbooks with them when they're in the exam rooms. They can have it out in the lobby. They must leave it out in the lobby if they have someone with them, or they can leave it in their car. If they accidentally bring that in the exam room, we will ask them to place it inside their kits that we cannot see them. If we see them later on, they will be excused for 90 days for this. Itemized lists. And what I mean by this, it's okay that it says manicure on the top. It's not okay that it has a list of items written on the bag. You'll be amazed how many people come in with this. Do not have your students list anything that they need for a procedure on a bag or a piece of paper. It's okay that they have their label of that procedure on top of that bag, but not a list of things, okay? If they have this, they will be excused for 90 days. Returning to exam from lunch breaks. All candidates need to be back in our lobby no later than 12:30. We promptly open our doors at 12:30. Takes a couple of minutes to get everyone in. Once we have everyone in and we shut the door and a candidate has returned after the door has shut, they will have to reschedule their exam. Mannequin head and hand requirements. We kind of went over this earlier with the mannequin head, all one color mannequin head that should be coming in, no highlights or different quadrants of hair color. The hand requirements, they need to make sure that they have their nails on their mannequin hand when they come in. They do not have time to put nails on when they're there. So if they do not have this or they have different color, a mannequin hair on their mannequin, they will have to reschedule their test until they get the proper stuff that they need. No smoking on our premises. We're asking that you make sure that you tell your students there's absolutely no smoking on our premises. Or the adjacent doctor's office or any other lots there, I'm sorry. They may smoke inside their car. They can dispose of it inside their car, but they cannot dispose of it on our ground or smoke outside their car. We've had our mulch caught on fire, and we've had our receptionists play firemen out there to go put the fire out. So we're asking, let your students know before you come down, they need to smoke inside their car and dispose of it inside their car. Photo identification requirements. All candidates should have a current ID when they come down. It could be their driver's license, passport identification, also their state ID they can have, or their school ID. If they do not have a current ID, they will not be able to test. So they're going to have to reschedule their test, okay? So make sure this could be something that you guys go over as you're going over your state board exam at school. Make sure that they have proper ID that they're bringing down with them. Also, with their state board picture, it must be stamped and sealed. Now, if they do not have their state board picture, they will be able to test, but they will not receive their results until they bring it to us. They can go to Walgreens or CVS around the corner if they did forget it and bring it back and get it stamped and sealed. But if they do not have that and they're living in Akron, they're going to have to drive back down once they get that state board picture and with their identification too, okay? Fingerprinting, as Mr. Treck has already went over, we have a biometrics fingerprinting. We're asking that we take their thumbprint, their index, middle, and their ring finger. All board examination policies are stated in the testing information packet, their TIP, so please make sure that your students know what their testing information packet is. This is like their Bible of the cosmetology, so please make sure they know what it is. Candidates must print the TIP from the website. We no longer send that out to them, okay? Any questions?
I have a question about the policy on the hair. Can they still be pre-cut prior to?
It can be pre-cut,
but no color.
pre-chemical wave, but no, they can put color on it. It's just got to be one color.
Okay.
If a student would use a school ID for an examination and they would have to retake, and their school ID is no longer current because they've now graduated, is it still, I mean, what do they
They
have to
need
do?
to get a current identification.
For a retake.
Yes, driver's license, state ID, passport. Yes, you said expired.
Would you just repeat what you said about the fingerprinting?
We're asking that they do their thumbprint, index, middle, and their ring. There's 4 fingers that we're asking for. Sorry? It's done at State Board. Yes, 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 yes.
We provide all materials for our students in kits, and we number the kits. So if I have 26 students coming to boards, I will have 26 kits, starting with number 1. Now, with the labeling problem, is it okay to put the kit number on it? For example, if you're...
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. People have their names on it, so that's fine. And you're talking about just for the kit, right? Not on bags or anything like that. Okay, you can label it with the products, like their procedure-wise, rather. So you have 12 written on their bag. That's fine. Yeah. Any more questions? All right, we are moving on. Ms. Paula, samples?
Good afternoon. Is everybody having fun yet? Okay.
Okay, pre-scheduling. It's going to begin February 1st. So you guys can send in all your information by February 1st. Of course, I call you back and give you a date. So first come, first serve. So get it in as quick as you can, and I can get you a date. So don't wait and then wonder why you didn't get a date. Pre-scheduling packets can be submitted beginning February 1st. It's important to confirm all the information. Make sure they have the correct ID numbers. Again, I've got ID numbers and everyone has the same one, so I don't think that's going to happen. But also, another thing this year, the paper pictures, you cannot use paper pictures anymore. It has to be on photo paper. So we're not going to accept them anymore. So if you turn them in on pre-schedules, I have to send everything back and you will lose your date. So make sure that you do have the correct pictures. The things you need for your list, I'll need the student name, student address, social security numbers. If you want to just use the last 4 digits of the social security numbers, that is okay also. Birth date, student ID number, contact number, and if the students are requesting a work permit or not. If you're going to write one check from the school, everyone has to get a work permit or nobody. On the back of the pictures, please make that sure that you have the ID number and the name of the student. I need the enrollment date, completion date. I also need to know if it is cosmetology or hair designer. Include the technical school and homeschool graduation date. I need the instructor's name and the best way to contact you. I have contacted people at their home, so if you want to put the home on there, that is fine. The IEP requirements, I just need the ADA form. I need that turned in with the pre-scheduled list. I don't need the whole IEP that the doctor gives the person. I just need the ADA form. It's $39 fee with a work permit, $31.50. If you're not getting a work permit, again, the money comes with the applications, not the pre-scheduling. Is there any questions? Now, you guys are going to call me and ask me this stuff again. I mean, you're not going to ask me now. Exactly.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this, but on the list that I send with all of the students' names, their address, the whole roster where it says list of students, does that sheet have to be notarized, or is it just